All right, now I want you to pay very close attention to the time of day. It's now 17 minutes after 1 o'clock. The reason I bring this up, it's a big day as far as the Reserve Bank is concerned. Yes, for them, but also for you watching at home. Why? The Reserve Bank Governor, Lesetja Kganyago, expected to announce a cut to the repo rate shortly. When I say shortly, will be 3 p.m. In South Africa's time. Of course, we'll be taking that live here on eNCA. But what does it actually mean? You're going to hear the Reserve Bank Governor come out. He's going to mention a whole bunch of stats and numbers. But you're dealing, as most people are, with a debt issue. What does it actually mean for you? Well, there's a very, very well-known organization, Debt Rescue. They are saying that while any interest rate reduction would bring relief, it's the sluggish pace of rate cuts. We're not doing it fast enough for 2025. All this is going to do is perpetuate the ongoing challenges that many households are facing. They find themselves in some kind of debt rescue situation. But Debt Rescue Chief Operating Officer Annaline van der Poel, once again, we've spoken to her many times. She's back with us today. Hi there, Annaline. And obviously, the hope, I guess, for most of those over-indebted households is we're going to see a great debt relief as far as interest rates are concerned. How confident are you?
I think we're going with what the general consensus is in the fact that we're most likely going to see a 25 basis points reduction, which is most definitely going to be welcome and definitely something we prefer to see than it stagnate or go the opposite direction. But realistically speaking, is what is the impact of this? How does this truly assist consumers, if at all?
And so how do we try, and maybe from your world, not we, but how do you now see this as over-indebted households? Because here's the problem, your business is Debt Rescue. So do you want, as Debt Rescue, lower interest rates, or do you prefer higher interest rates? I know it's an awkward question because this is your business. What do you prefer?
Obviously, we want a stable economy more than anything, and that includes making sure that consumers are able to ultimately, pay their bills, and we need spending in the economy, etc. So those are all critical factors. What we are seeing, however, is the level of over-indebtedness is so incredibly high. I mean, we've heard what the Reserve Bank Governor has said with regards to, people having, less than 10% or 10% of their disposable income left after paying debt.
Sure.
So and being a consumer myself, obviously, that is a very, very negative thing to be sitting in that position. So ultimately, we do want to start seeing relief and it being sustainable.
What is 25 basis points? I mean, I don't want to get to the economics of it, Annaline. I mean, I know you're talking from a debt rescue perspective, but can 25 basis points down, which is a good thing, actually make a difference to over-indebted households? What does your experience and expertise tell you? Does it really make a difference in the end?
Unfortunately not, no, because what we continue seeing is obviously, yes, inflation has slowed down, but things are still getting more expensive, just at a slower rate. So the cost of living does continue to rise. But not just that, we now have to look at, for example, we are potentially going to see this cut this afternoon, and next week we've already heard that the predictions are the fuel price is going to go up. So the one just overtakes the other and cancels each other out. We know we still have this electricity price hike that's coming in the next month or two. So ultimately, whatever little saving we are getting on the one side from the rate cuts is just being cancelled out or possibly even overtaken by the other cost of living expenses that keep increasing.
Yeah, it's almost giving with the one hand and taking with the other. It doesn't really actually make much of a difference. Annaline, I want to talk about the concept of debt rescue or debt review. I know there's a few terms. Those are the two I know. Debt rescue, I know it's your brand name, but that's actually a concept as well. There's a stigma attached to it, that someone doesn't want to go into debt rescue because if they do that, if it's Gareth, I failed in my finances. But actually going into debt review, going into debt rescue could be the most responsible thing you could do for your family. Would my assumption be correct?
Absolutely. Your second assumption, not the first one. By no means is this a sign of failure. Quite the contrary. The vast reason for most people being over indebted is factors beyond their control. This is not people who are necessarily overspending or do not know how to budget or whatever. We know that the two biggest factors we've had has been, as I said, obviously the cost of living, inflation, and on the other side, if your budget's been affected by interest rates. So by no means is this anybody's fault. It's factors beyond our control. And most of us live to the maximum of our means, which means that when a wobble happens, like interest rate hikes suddenly go up as high as they did, as quickly as they did, most of us can't afford to have that space in our budgets. And that's where debt counselling or debt review ultimately comes in. It's part of law. It's created specifically to assist over-indebted consumers, to give them legal protection, ensure that they secure their assets, and ultimately repay their debt, but in a more sustainable way, at a lower amount over a longer period of time. And when you are completed, you're debt-free. And no legal action, etc. And you can have that stress taken away from you, not living on credit and creating this massive debt spiral of just going from month to month, just getting deeper and deeper to literally put food on the table.
Yeah, I mean, there's a concept as well, there's a perception, not a concept, a perception rather, Annaline, maybe I can ask you this, that if you were to enter into some kind of a debt review or a debt rescue system, it basically hamstrings you and you have no access to living the life that you want. But actually, debt rescue, debt review is trying to get you out of the situation as responsibly as possible. What I'm asking is, how do I, as Gareth, know if I qualify for debt rescue? How bad must it be before I phone Annaline van der Poel?
Well, I think the simplest way is and the ultimate determination is, are you over indebted? And to determine if somebody is over indebted, it's a very simple calculation. You look at your income, you look at your necessary living expenses, and what's left. Can it cover your minimum debt installments? If it can't, you are most likely over indebted. And that is, in essence, what is required for you to apply for debt review. So obviously, it's a responsible assessment that gets done by your debt counsellor, taking into account the cost of living, your necessary living expenses, etc. If you can't afford your minimum debt repayments, which you most likely will not be able to negotiate on, that is the test, and that qualifies you for debt review.
It does. The qualification for debt review, many people wonder and they worry based on social media, Annaline, because I've Googled your name, I've Googled debt rescue. They worry that once you're in debt rescue, you never get out of debt review, debt rescue. And I don't think that's actually true, is it?
Not at all, no. So the whole point of debt counselling is the fact that we renegotiate with the credit providers, and obviously we have to be transparent in terms of how much is going to be paid to each account, factoring all these various things like how much you owe, what the interest rates are, etc., etc. And it's a very clear and transparent process, and it has a beginning date and it has an end date. So you know exactly when you are completed. But what the beauty of this is the fact that when you're completed, you have no debt. And I can absolutely, I mean, I've been doing this since 2008. I can tell you that we have thousands of consumers in the industry with us who have successfully completed this and have re-entered the credit market, have been able to obtain credit if they needed it, purchase, get credit cards, loans, homes, vehicles, etc., very successfully. But when they started the process, when they completed it, they're debt-free.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you want. You want to be debt-free. We all enjoy the nice things in life, and not even the nice things in life. I like the way Annaline says that often it's beyond your control. Something has happened, and we remember I spoke to Annaline years ago during COVID. People were on half salaries, some had been retrenched, and Annaline was very, very helpful then, as she is now from Debt Rescue. And even now with the interest rates coming down, you might still find yourself in a bit of a jam. The one piece of advice I always remember from Annaline all those years ago is that by the time the banks start phoning you and the creditors start knocking on your door, it is too late. Those kind of bills do not go away. Get hold of an Annaline at Debt Rescue or one of the other debt practitioners. Let them help you get through this, because I promise you, your debt, just like SARS and just like you dying, it's a certainty. It's not going to go away. Annaline, thank you very much indeed from Debt Rescue. Joining